Got a quick little update on the Mustang. I have a whole bunch of parts here now. So what I'll be installing today is a TMZ K member. It's their chromoly K member with their tubular A-arms. I have a TIG Vision anti-roll bar I'm putting in the car. UPR, solid suspension work. I have the traction arms, the upper support. Basically, this is a whole new car. Got DSS drive shaft for the car, UPR panhard bar, Mantic, triple disc clutch setup, and basically this is to, kind of bulletproof this car in for better lack of terms. All the weak parts with this being a stick shift car, you gotta have something give. It's either gonna be your clutch is gonna take that, absorb that energy when you dump the clutch in the 60-foot, or it's gonna be the tire. And if it's not one of those, you're gonna break something like a drive shaft, an axle, a differential. So all of that's getting changed. I have a TMZ lower or axle brace that I'm putting on the car, as well as with welding the axle tubes, and we're gonna be stepping up to a 35 spline axle with a, I'm still gonna be staying with a 373 rear end because I do have a T56 that I'm throwing in the car this year. And it's a T56 Magnum from Ben Caliber. He did some, it's a stage 2 package, so it includes cryo treated gears and then the extra, or the pump on the T56 to allow that fluid to be recirculated from the back of the T56 to the front of it during hard acceleration to prevent oil starvation. So that's gonna go in the car. Also, it's gonna have, which is gonna circulate that gear fluid, and all that's gonna go into the car. Update, I do have a short block for the car now. Short block is a Gen 1 block still, but it's bored out to a 5.2 now, 11.5 to 1 compression ratio, and it is sleeve, so it gives me that extra insurance to really get after it. Still gonna be using a TVS setup, so I'm stepping up to a 10 rib and an MFP crank support to keep the car happy and to prevent extra stress on the crankshaft of the engine. This car is going to be completely new, and it should be finished shortly. It's been a couple of months since I've worked on the car. Obviously, I got the motor out, the transmission's out, sold my MT82, of course, to help fund some of this stuff. And no, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, but this is really reputable parts, and this is what I think is the best for an S197 stick shift car. I've reached out to a bunch of people that have guided me and helped aid me in these part selections, and I look forward to getting this combo out there so y'all can see what a TVS car can do. This is going to be like a max effort TVS car that's still stick shift. Everyone else, they usually go turbo 400 or auto in some capacity, but no one's really, I've never seen an all-out stick shift TVS car, and that's kind of what I hope to bring, and then we'll cross the bridge later on what comes after the TVS, or if I even want to do anything after the TVS. So, this is going to be a time lapse, or this is going to be a video just going over all the chassis and suspension stuff for my S197. So I started working on the TMZ K member. Originally, I was going to use a UPR K member. However, they were on back order and they did not have any in stock. I reached out to UPR and when they would have a time frame on when they could get one out, and it would be June or July of 2024, and I didn't want to wait that long at the time because at the time of this filming, it's around November, December of 2023, and I really just wanted to get the ball rolling on the car. So I got this TMZ K member. TMZ does have tubular A-arms with it also, which is what I'm working on installing in this clip, and UPR did not have tubular A-arms as well. It was only the K member. You choose stock A-arms. So that's why I chose the TMZ K member. One thing I would like to mention is to verify your hardware and that you have the correct hardware. I had to reach out to TMZ for new hardware because I didn't have everything, or I had incorrect hardware, mainly bushings, and they did an amazing job at getting me the correct hardware in a quick and efficient manner. Alright, so we just got the Panhard support in. Now we can install the top of the Panhard bar into the car, and then we can also install our lower control arms and our Viking Crusaders into the car as well.
Guys got hooked up in California. Dumb. It's fucking dumb.
This is the Team Z K-member for the S197. One important thing to know before installing it is you need to measure your stock K-member and A-arms, because I did swap to the aftermarket A-arms that are adjustable, and you have to make sure that you measure it correctly. So they recommend measuring it from ball joint to ball joint, which I did, and I had a friend Patrick confirm this measurement on his S197 also, and he measured from center to center approximately 57.5 inches. And then when you install this K-member, it's best to do this outside of the car, obviously, before you install it, because when you install it, there isn't much room. But now that I have that rough measurement, now it's time to button everything up and get ready to install this into the car. And then you do need to put a bump steer on your steering rack. I also forgot to mention that I centered the A-arms basically on this measurement and then adjusted them to that point. So I had the washer or the nut backed all the way off of the A-arm, and then I measured from the A-arm housing to the nut. So basically from this gap to this gap, and then did that on both sides, of course. Wrote them down, add them together to get a rough estimate to where I wanted them so they would be even. So this footage is not necessarily in a chronological order. It's in a rough estimated order of how I did things at the time, but mainly I was just trying to get the car together so I could start making progress on it, because the car was sitting in this paperweight form for about 3 or 4 months, and I just had the itch to start doing stuff on it. So right now I'm installing the upper Panhard bracket from UPR with solid bushings in it, which is what the Panhard bar will bolt to, and then go back over to the axle. Yeah, that's about all I can say about this part. You torque it to spec. Just be sure not to crush the bushings inside. Next, I move on to the UPR solid bushing lower control arms. I got these from More Throttle Motorsports in Michigan. They were changing the setup on their car, so I bought a lot of parts from them. I got the lower control arms, the upper control arm, the Viking Crusaders for the rear, the springs on the car, which are 110-pound springs, and then a bunch of blower parts. But I'll go into detail on all the blower stuff in a later video. So this is the old rear end before I took it apart with all the factory suspension parts on it. What I didn't really get a lot of footage of it, but what I did do is I took the diff cover off I thought I had 373s in this car when I originally bought it, but upon removal of the diff cover, it does say 355s on it, so I did have to pull that out. I upgraded all the internal components on the rear end, so I went to a Strange 35 spline axle with a Strange S-Track differential, and I went up to 373 gears, as I stated at the beginning of the video, and then I had my buddy Dylan Kaler weld the axle tubes on it and help with the axle brace as well, and then set the rear end up with me. With the C-clip eliminators, you do need to cut down approximately 1.5 inches on the ends in order for the axle flange or C-clip eliminator flange to fit on the axle. Alright, real briefly, I want to talk about the front brakes I'm putting on my car. These are Willwood Superlights. So instructions, they come in your box of Willwood brakes. You do need to change the brake lines on these for the S197, but it's pretty straightforward. You bolt the inner race into the outer race, insert these bolts with red Loctite, and then torque them to 155 inch-pounds. The next thing we're going to do is take 32 thousandths thick safety wire, make a backwards S, and safety wire all of these bolts together because of the low torque value within these. And then we're going to put it back on the car, install the calipers, and then put the new braided line on.